All right, folks, I have some pretty exciting news, so brace yourselves. Well, it's exciting for me anyway, because for the first time since I believe ever, I am here to let you know that the unruly member of the royal family who is making waves today is none other than Princess Anne. Oh, yes, I'm talking about the same Princess Royal who has gone on so many official engagements that I'm shocked her security detail didn't all slip into catatonic states, and the only person who asked her brother if she might be able to have the leftover Buckingham Palace curtains so that she could whip up a whole new suit for herself. I am talking about her. This week, she gave a TV interview to Canadian broadcaster CBS, and her no nonsense approach to horses and kids and contempo casuals obviously extends to her willingness to be honest about that entire monarchy business, even when she's in front of a camera. They asked her about Charles's desire to slim down the monarchy, and her response was pretty blunt. She said, "Well, I think the slim down was said in a day when there were a few more people around. It doesn't sound like a good idea from where I'm standing, I would say. I'm not quite sure what else we can do." Now, as much as I would love to just focus on Princess Anne's straight talking habits and what precisely she has been up to in those lighthouses, the fact is, this admission from her has actually let us know something a lot more important about the royal family. This comment really brings us right to the world's most miserable Prince Harry. Because you see, what Princess Anne's comment really shows us is the devastating toll that Harry and Meghan's binning of the royal family in 2020 has had. To really understand this whole situation, we need to rewind back to 2012. Gangnam Style was on the popular charts, Isabel Marant had just invented the wedge sneaker, and girls had hit screens. It was also the Golden Jubilee for the late Queen, which saw her and Philip stand up for 4 hours in the rain as they were making their way down the Thames in a royal flotilla in a moment that completely captured the rigid backbone of duty in the two. And then they did the Trooping the Color and they went out onto the Buckingham Palace balcony. But it was obvious that the palace balcony was not nearly as full as it used to be with the throng of titled sorts the world had been used to seeing. We didn't see the Yorks, we didn't see the Gloucesters, the Kents, Prince Edward and his family, and also all the extraneous cousins and the dynastic hangers on who typically fill out the scene. This group had been whittled down to only the Queen, Philip, Charles, Queen Camilla, then the Duchess of Cornwall, William and Catherine, and Harry. The message here seems to have been very clear. This was the future of the royal family. It was going to be lean, it was going to be mean. And the future looked amazing. A dashing prince and his new, beautifully middle class, Zara loving bride. And then Harry, that cheeky, fun younger brother who had managed to charm the entire world. When Meghan showed up 4 years later, it looked like Harry had also found his perfect other half, a woman who would dramatically increase the appeal of the monarchy to modern British society while also looking beautiful in a tiara. I don't think I really need to remind you how dramatically that dream came crashing down. What with the interviews, the book deal, the Netflix docu-series that has followed in a tidal wave of finger-pointing and never-ending grievance airing. So what Anne's comment from that interview really hammers home is that in running away from the royal ancient regime to try and climb the greasy Hollywood pole, what Meghan and Harry have really done is deal quite a blow to Charles's ability to actually run a functional firm. The truth is, any business, even the business of the monarchy, requires staff. It requires people to do the heavy lifting. And Harry and Meghan, when they decided to throw in the towel so that they could hang out in California, what they did was deprive the king of 50% of his young staff. So basically, Megxit has accidentally managed to hobble the monarchy. When Charles was coming up with his idea of the slimmed down monarchy, what he was really doing was trying to find a way to trim the fat from the outer edges of royalty. Those dukes that only the editor of Deborah's and His Grace's Taylor could name. He didn't want to get rid of the core fundamental members in the top handful of spots in the line of succession. What is becoming clear is that when Meghan and Harry ran away, that running away had the unintended consequence of messing up the king's plan for a slimmed down version of the royal family. He just wanted to get the royal family into better shape. But instead, through a whole mess of events, including Prince Andrew being an ass, the deaths of the late Queen and Philip, and then Megxit, Charles has been left with a very trim version of the monarchy, probably a little too trim. If you want to really understand just what a mess the king is facing, let's think about what the royal family looked like at two special moments. In July, Prince George, future king and current lord of the playground, is going to turn 10 years old. Back in 1994, when Harry was the same age, the working members of the royal family and the people who were on the balcony ranged from the 30s, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, to the 40s, Prince Charles and Princess Anne, to people in their 50s, like Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, Prince Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, and Princess Alexandra. And then, of course, there was Queen Elizabeth, 68 years old, and Philip, who was 73 years old, and they took the top spots. So let's compare that with the royal family that's surrounding George now, like when he appeared on the Buckingham Palace balcony with his great grandmother and other relatives during her Platinum Jubilee last year. Of all the adults, all except the Waleses and the Edinburghs are years, if not decades, past the official UK retirement age. We did not get to see the Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. Now, reportedly, they retired from what duties they took on last year, but that news has not been confirmed. The problem is there is simply nobody to fill their places, and nobody to take on the often boring but essential parts of royal work, like opening army barracks or planting trees out in the countryside, or also ribbon cuttings at roundabouts. Meanwhile, Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, the Earl of Wessex, are not planning to be working members of the royal family. The last time I heard, Louise had a summer job at a garden center before she went to uni. Now, nice professional careers and big houses in Fulham where they're going to pay their own rates lie ahead for these two. They're simply not going to be working royals. The only people on that balcony who are probably going to end up as official flag wavers for king and country are William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales' three kids, George and his siblings, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. I mean, just imagine being William and Catherine and knowing that one day you're going to have to tell your son and probably your other son and your daughter that they don't really have any choice over what they do in the future. They don't have any say over what they're going to do with their own lives, where they're going to live, or even what religion they're going to practice. They may never need to worry about money or being fired, but still, they are looking down the barrel of a lifetime where they're going to be expected to devote themselves to an institution that, if they choose to walk away from, could completely topple. To me, that does not sound like a nice weight to bear. These days, maybe Harry and Meghan have found their freedom, but what about the people they left behind in the UK? Do they have now, or will they ever have any real freedom? In the words of Princess Anne to her wannabe kidnapper Ian Ball back in 1974, not bloody likely.